That don't make him the spokesman for Earth. That make him the spokesman for the round table. And the round table is the collection of the chiefs across the land. When we break us free, then we have other people waiting to make alliances that will not make alliances with us as long as we are occupied territory. Lucky St. Clair, I'm glad you brought up that you thought Larry Hoover was a gang member. Now, if you understand that COINTELPRO job was to remove the leadership from our communities, and that everything they're calling a gang is a tribe, then you will understand what we dealing with. And Larry Hoover he's not a gangbanger. That's not his mentality, and he doesn't operate under a gangbanger mentality, as they call it. But that's a misnomer, right? Larry Hoover is one of the chiefs of a tribe. His blood attests to it and is tied to the land and to the stars in agreement. Don't believe me. Anybody that doesn't understand what I'm telling them or got any doubts, find you an oracle reader that you feel is accurate. Pay them between now and Monday to do a spread and ask the question, what does Spirit say about 2/22/2022 and the hashtag Free Larry Hoover movement? Leave the question at that. Let the tarot reader, the oracle reader, the crystal ball reader, let them have it and watch what the answer be. Now, the irony of that is this. You're not going to never get two tarot readers that's going to read the same every time. I went over on my Instagram at least 6 or 7 different tarot readers just telling the same story. That can't be possible unless it's a spiritual involvement in the movement. So when the people, the message got to resonate. It got to be on the frequency, right? So they're going to villainize all our leadership if they don't sell us out. Any leader that sell us out, they're going to celebrate, right? So this is how you know. They celebrate the sellout. If they murdered them, that's because they figured it out. So they murdered them. El Haj Malik El Shabazz, Martin Luther King, JFK, RFK, they all figured it out and they all got murdered. Medgar Evers, he figured it out. He got murdered, right? John Africa, Philadelphia, figured it out. He got murdered. Joseph Sinkyu of the Black Liberation Army figured it out. He got murdered. George Jackson, founder of the Black Guerrilla family, the Soledad brother, figured it out. He couldn't hit the streets. He was 10 years past his out date when they murdered him. The Weather Underground, the ones they didn't murder, they locked up. They lock people up because they're not supposed to kill them, right? And certain people that they killing, they not supposed to kill, but they cheating in the game of life. So, Lucky Sinclair says she never been to California and she gonna be there on 2/22/2022. Is there a place she could go to pay homage or respect? I would say, I don't know what's calling you out there, so I can't really tell you where to go. But whatever it is, look for the thing that draws your energy. It's going to be a pull. They call that the call of the matriarchs. Because if you're going out there and you ain't never been out there, it's a reason. Before you go, preload yourself that you're going to know where to go, why you there when you get there, and you just going to trust yourself to find where to go. Excuse me, y'all. Goddamn candle burning motherfuckers. So, yep, JFK was going to expose them and upset their currency. Follow the instinct, because the instinct is like the birds going south for the winter. It's to call it a matriarch. And that's why you being called there. The fact that you using Lucky St. Clair as your Facebook name is also relative. Because it's a Irish knock on a 4-leaf clover. Right? So let me see if we got any more questions in here. If y'all got any questions, y'all better ask them, because I don't really got a lot to talk about. But the questions brings about the clarification, and the understanding is everything. Right? So to make sure that we can get an understanding. Oh, that's crazy. 22. My sister, what they call my what they call that? But me and my sister, like less than a year apart, and they call her my twin, and her birthday is on the 25th. Aaron Marcel said, what did they find out that got them killed? Okay, so I'm going to answer that, and then I'm going to answer Demetria, what do I need to do on that date? So the cyber parade will be explained next. So what did they find out that got them murdered? They found out that the enemy that we was fighting don't got pale faces, but they use pale faces to conceal them and hide behind. They found out that it was black faces in white robes in the original KKK. They found out that these people called conquistadors came over here to steal our birthright by pretending to be us. They found out that it's a Masonic secret to never tell us who he is, because they want to steal our birthright and become the heirs by default by us not reclaiming our birthright. So this is what they all discovered. Martin Luther King gave a lengthy explanation of how they displace us in mechanized farms for people that don't look like us, and they use that to impoverish us. We ain't never been poor over here. So all my life, I've been growing up wondering, where is our shit? Because I have the memories of walking through the palaces on this land. Not over there in Europe, not over there in Africa, not in Egypt. I remember walking in castles in Colorado and walking in castles in Montana. I remember that shit, but I don't have no way to tell y'all what's going on. Right? So coming to find out, if you look up, go to YouTube and put in castles in America, and the ones they didn't turn into prisons, they turned them into tourist attractions. And they don't promote them because they don't want people knowing that we had palaces over here. Marquette, Michigan, Marquette Prison used to be a castle and a resort for royal families of the land. None of us believe we owned any of the land, but we took care of the land and the properties on the land as caretakers of the land. So the royal household was open to all the royal families. Right. So Andre Grant say, so it's like this: we unite, help free Larry. He make the speech, set the record straight, and that then other islands play their part in tribing up. Not just islands. All of the islands are tribed up. First of all, let's get this straight. The only people that really matter right now is what they call the mainland North America. Canada is already on the move. We behind. We get to set the record straight, which goes into the 2022 cyber parade. Now, what we are doing is hashtag Free Larry Hoover on all our posts. No matter what we posting about, as long as we can get that blue hashtag on there, we are doing the job. The side effect of us hashtagging Larry in large number is it upsets the algorithm, and the algorithm is how they manage and distribute advertising dollars from big pharma and major corporations around the world. If Larry takes over the #1 spot in the algorithm, because they can't make money off of it, they have to vex it as a grievance in the open. As soon as they acknowledge him, at that point, they have to now acknowledge us, the original caretakers of the land, the heirs to the land. Okay, Kenny Cooper asked a brilliant question. Why not free Larry Hoover and Jeff Ford? Chief Malik Angel Bay, it's Jeff Ford. Larry not gonna move. Right, now look what he holding. This is the Pope's hat. This is the Pope's hat. He got on the crown, but he holding the Pope's hat, but up here you got on the Pope's hat. What just happened? Look, you see this hair is braided? See, this is down, right? This is showing you an imposter pretending to be somebody else. That's what it's showing you. This is the supplanter, the underminer, right? This is the left side, which means that it come off the matriarchal line and it was suppressed. How was it suppressed? Through exalting the patriarchal line here, right? So now, Queen Elizabeth as a black lady. I think that's Diane King hair on her. Now look at the money. This is nappy hair right here. If y'all understand the texture. This nappy hair, but look, same sword, but he have it up in a strike position. Right? And they call him Maverickus. Right? So, Elector of Saxony, Maurice. This mean more. His name mean more. Maurice mean more. Right? Look at the time frame. 1541, 1553. Just so y'all know. This is a 1547 coin. Right? Now, let's go some more. They never stop telling you black royalty, Jews ruled Egypt. These are satanic Jews Farrakhan be talking about. This is Charles V, King of France, 1338 to 1380. Returns the sword of the High Constable to Bertrand de Gosselin in 1320-1380 from the History de Gosselin after the poem by Cuvier, early 15th century. This is a black king giving a black nobleman back his sword, but it don't tell you how he lost it. He just told me returning it. Apparently, look, so he got a sword. You got to understand what the sword of destiny is. You see, because if he got a sword, why is he even giving him this sword? He got one right here. So he's giving him a sword. They saying he returning it to him. Well, what is he really returning? What is he really giving him? Right? Now look, the Blue Lodge has been infiltrated by the Red Lodge. It's showing you here. The Blue Lodge was infiltrated by the Red Lodge. This is your War of the Roses scenario, which is another video. But look, the real Blue Lodge back here. Right? Look over here. Now, the green is a matriarchal color meaning love. And that's why they got her as red head. Because this is supposed to be a loose mockery of Scotland out of Egypt. That's why she got red hair. From what I'm looking at, see the cowboy hat? The 10-gallon hat? This is in the 1300s. Why the fuck do he got on a cowboy hat? Y'all don't pay attention. This cowboy hat, and this is in France. It's a cowboy hat, a 10-gallon hat, but he got a crown. So this is the commission right here of the conquest of the Americas. because they already told you who they was bringing over here. The Irish, right? Watch, let me show you. Right here. This book is about 3 kingdoms, Ireland, Britain, and Scotland, who were sold into North American slave trade. And they told y'all that the niggas was sold in the slave trade. So who was the slaves? Right? Who was the slaves? Right? So when you really get into it, slavery sprang up in America out of something called indentured servitude. And this is how they end up creating your tax system. We go in here and we look up indentured servitude. Indentured servant, right? Now look, an indentured servant or indentured laborer is an employee. See that word? An employee. And it's also called an indenturee within a system of unfree labor who is bound by a signed or forced contract. Remember I told y'all we was under the Moorish contract signed through the Treaty of Peace and Friendship. They had to keep us asleep using blood rights so that we would never break this contract, because the contract was made before God and the council seat was empty. And they knew it, they took advantage of it. It's full now. I'm sitting on that bitch. Now look, the indentures is to work for a particular employer for a fixed time. The contract often lets the employer sell the labor of an indenture to a third party. That's called trading in servitude. In other words, this is the trading of the slave. Indenturees usually enter into an indenture for a specific payment or other benefit, or to meet a legal obligation such as a debt bondage. That's what we under. We under debt bondage. Under the Federal Reserve Act, under the Bankruptcy Act of 1933, under the House Resolution 191. This is what we under. We under debt bondage. On completion of the contract, indentured servants were given their freedom and occasional plots of land. This is your 40 acres and a mule, people. In many countries, systems of indentured labor have now been outlawed and are banned by Universal Declaration of Human Rights as a form of slavery. Now look, the Americas, North America. The Americas, North America. Until late 18th century, indentured servitude was very common in British North America. Now they just told you what I told you, that the Britons won. British North America. If America was declared independent in 1776, watch this. The term was first used informally in 1783, but it was uncommon before the report of the affairs of British North America in 1839, called the Durham Report. Right? These motherfuckers still doing this shit to us. We dumb as a motherfucker. Collectively, we as humans are some stupid motherfuckers to keep falling for this obvious ass shit. It's obvious. Watch this. It was often a way for poor Europeans to immigrate to the American colonies. They signed an indenture in return for a costly passage. After the indenture expired, the immigrant were free to work for themselves or another employer. It has been argued by at least one economist that indentured servitude occurred largely as an institutional response to a capital market imperfection. Right? So, who was the first indentures? Let's see if we can find out. Okay, between one half and 2/3 of white immigrants to the American colonies. Let me say it again. Between 1/2 and 2/3 of white immigrants to the American colonies between 1630 and the American Revolution had come under indentures. They were slaves. It wasn't the niggas over here slaves. I keep telling y'all this, and y'all keep falling for the okie doke. White people was the slaves. We was the freedmen. And the Treaty of Peace and Friendship that the Moors signed was to undermine the Commonwealth, in which we was bailing these motherfuckers out. Now watch this. However, while almost half the European immigrants to the 13 colonies were indentured servants, now let me say it again, half the European immigrants to the 13 colonies were indentured servants. At any one time, they were outnumbered by workers who had never been indentured or whose indenture had expired, and thus free wage labor was more prevalent for Europeans in the colonies. Indentured people were numerically important, mostly in the region from Virginia north to New Jersey. Other colonies saw far fewer of them. The total number